Hello journaling friends, welcome to my quiet and cozy little space. Today I thought I would do a little walkthrough of my 2026 journal lineup. So my little lineup has changed quite dramatically between 2024, 25 and 26. In 2024 I did all of my journaling inside the one book, which was the Hobonichi Techo Cousin. I didn't have any additional journals or notepads or notebooks or anything. Everything went inside the one book. In 2025, I also had the Cousin. I think I will journal inside the Cousin forever because I just love it. But I also did grab a Hobonichi Weeks at the start of 2025. But as much as I had sort of some plans or idea on how I would use it, I didn't really use it until the second half of the year. And then I only used the monthly pages to plan my work. As a freelancer, I really need to plan out my days and weeks to ensure that I get all my tasks done. So I found using the monthly pages in the weeks was the perfect layout to just basically jot down what I want to do each day for the week ahead, and then pretty much for the month ahead, in fact. And I did find that really kept me on task, which was good. But I didn't want to do the work planning stuff in my Cousin because I like to use my Cousin purely as my joy journal. So my monthly pages in my Cousin are for fun, and I didn't want to integrate or mix work with pleasure, so to speak. At the end of 2025, I wasn't sure if I was going to pick up a weeks for this year, but then when I was in Japan in December, I did look at other options just for having a monthly planner where I could just, work out my daily tasks for my work. And I couldn't really find one that ticked all the boxes. There were obviously cheaper ones and smaller ones than the weeks. But then I either didn't love the paper or the layout. And so I wound up getting myself another weeks. But I am now, since I've got home, using it differently to how I did last year as well. And I'm loving it so much. Anyway, let's have a look. I think we'll start off with my ultimate journal baby, being the Cousin. I decorated the cover with cute little, mostly Japanese related stickers that, just bring me a lot of joy to look at. I didn't start off with the idea that it would be pink and turquoise green kind of in its colorway, but that's just how it ended up. And I love it. I love looking at it. It just brings me, a little bit of peace. It just feels very fresh, I think, and peaceful. And then on the inside, I have this picture that I picked up pulled out from one of my letters magazines that I picked up when I was in Japan. I had toyed with the idea of not taking any of the pages out or not cutting anything out of the magazines. Then I saw this picture and I just couldn't stop looking at it. After a couple of hours of contemplating, I decided to cut her out. I also did realize that I could, if I stuck her in my journal, I would look at it every day, whereas in the magazine, I will flip through those magazines, but not daily. So I just kind of really resonated with her. I don't know, there's some travel going on here. She looks like she's ready for an adventure, surrounded by flowers and a bird. I don't know, it just had a very sweet feel to it. And then on the inside of the cover, I've just popped some Moomin stickers, some Aiko Fukawa washi tape, and this cute little PET sticker that I got from my pen pal Zoe. I say pen pal, my pen pal and my friend Zoe. It says, "We're forever paper lovers," and I just thought that was so apt. So stuck that there as well. I may add some more stickers to this over time, but for now I'm just loving how this looks. And also I don't know why my cover's gone a bit wrinkly there. Maybe when I took it off my 2025 journal, it did that. I was very careful, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. And then on the inside of that cover page, I have this beautiful drawing that my also pen pal and friend Laura sent to me. Laura put a little note in the letter saying that it is a painting from a book called Women Holding Things. And I don't know, she just looks like, as Laura said, a real baddie, She's in the garden. She's got a very cool outfit on. I mean, to be fair, I would love to look like that when I'm in the garden, and I can tell you I absolutely do not. She's got, a sturdy tool in her hand. The garden looks delightful. It's just such a beautiful painting. It just really resonated with me when I saw it. And I also thought it was very generous of Laura to share it with me. So she is going to sit there and keep me company for 2026. I popped this little gold sticker from HITOTOKI on the bottom there, which has, little flowers on it. And it kind of, I don't know, I guess it's a bit of an ode to our little baddie over here. I don't know if I'm going to decorate the page anymore. I really just love the simplicity of that. And over here, I've literally just got a, diary sticker that came off one of my MD notebooks and a little bit of clear soda washi tape. Super simple. Again, I don't know if I'm actually going to decorate any of this anymore. I mean, I feel like this might end up with more stickers on it, but I feel like I'm just loving how simple this looks, but we shall see. Let's look further in the year and see if this ends up getting decorated more. So then moving on to my monthly pages, I'm going to pretty much decorate them the same way that I did last year. And that is just sticking down whatever I feel like sticking down. There could be stickers. I'll probably, write some things on, some little highlights, I guess, of my month, some ephemera, obviously Japanese ephemera. And yeah, that's pretty much just going to be kind of like a space for me to decorate in whichever way I want. And then my weeklies, I'm also going to decorate or do some memory keeping, I guess, the same as I did in last year's cousin. By the way, I've only just stuck this down with a little bit of washi tape because I want to print that on paper that's the same color as the pages of the cousin, which is what I did last year. I feel like this paper is just a little bit too stark and cool. It's too blue for me. So yeah, I do have a ream of paper that's the same color as the pages in the Hobonichi Cousin. So I will print that out on that paper just so it blends in a little bit better. But anyway, so yeah, this is where I'm just going to essentially write down some memories, a little bit of memory keeping, some little notes for myself, some little reminders, just a bit of everything really. And of course, some stickers, some ephemera, bit of everything. Also, I've just realized recently that not only do I have a fascination with price tags and stickers, I love instructions on things. So I got this wrapping from some MUJI coffee filters that I picked up in Japan, and they just have this little directions for use, instructional on here with a diagram. I don't know why that tickles me so much. And I find that pretty much with any instructions I see on packaging, I don't know why, I'm just fascinated with them. That was going to be a waste to just throw in the bin, so I just cut the little instructions out and stuck them in here. So yeah, that's pretty much what my weeks will end up looking like, a little bit of memory keeping, some little reminders, notes to myself, cute things that happen that I want to remember, and ephemera. So, and then we move to my turning the page to a new year. On this spread in 2025, I decorated the page in a way that it was kind of like a mood board or a vision board for my year ahead. This year I decided instead to document little personal highs, and they can be like really tiny moments or things that I've experienced for myself that have brought me a little bit of clarity, or even actual accomplishments, in my personal life. I just sat down and thought of, what would I like to, let's say in a year, I look back at this list and be reminded of those little things that have occurred that have just brought me a little bit of, as I said, clarity or comfort even. I've popped down mindfulness because I'm on a eternal quest to have a quiet mind. I feel like in 2025, I learned so much about myself and how my mind works and how even my nervous system, what's good for me and what's not. And it's stuff I've always known, but I think last year I paid particular attention to it all. So it would be nice if I had have documented those super simple moments where I've gone, oh, actually, this happened today and it made me feel really good, So yeah, I've put the mindfulness on there so that hopefully at the end of the year, I can look back at this and go, oh, wow, I've actually done some cool stuff this year. Not done cool stuff, but I've worked out things that I didn't know a year ago. And then I've got personal highs, creative whims. I put whims instead of wins because, I was thinking creative wins, but wins just sounded very technical. So I put it as creative whims, a little play on the word, I guess. And then gold star moments. Gold star moments is pretty much just that, in school when you got a gold star for doing something that was pretty cool, a little achievement. So yeah, for instance, I've put 1,500 subscribers on YouTube, which, you know, for me is huge considering I only started my channel a few months ago. Well, no, it was a little more than a few months ago, but it's pretty amazing to think that 1,500 humans are tuning in to listen to what I have to share about my journaling experience. I find it really interesting. It's very comforting as well because, as I've mentioned before, I created this space as a place for us to connect, you know, around our journaling interests and stationery interests. So I feel like that is definitely a gold star moment. Anyway, so I also got this little daily tear off page from my little calendar. I just love it. Let's be reborn. A really good start to a new year, I guess, you know. This might get more decorated, or maybe I might even just continue my highs list. Or let's hope I fill this whole page with highs for this year. And then I could even continue over to this page. I'm not really too fussed in it looking too uniform. I'm pretty sure it will get very messy. I really just wanted to do the color coding thing so that, you know, it really stands out as the page gets filled. And then we're on to my daily pages. So my daily pages are pretty much anything and everything except planning. I'm not going to be doing any planning in this journal whatsoever. As I mentioned before, it is my joy journal. So it's memory keeping. I want to be documenting sweet moments, memorable moments, mundane moments, cute things I've seen, wholesome and lovely interactions I've had with people, experiences, all of that kind of stuff. I don't want to flip through this journal and read about past challenging or difficult moments that I've had. This just isn't the space for that for me. I do have a space for that, which I'll share in a moment. So my daily pages are pretty much just going to be all of that and a space for me to decorate and be creative with stickers. And I am hoping to get into drawing a little bit. I have recently acquired some watercolor brushes and paints. So I do plan on having a go at using watercolor. Anyway, so yeah, these pages are going to be basically just a space for me to be as creative as I want to be. I did make a little note for myself. I haven't folded it yet, but I'm going to fold it and pop it in here. I didn't actually stick this all the way down. I think a lot changes in 1 year. So I think maybe in 3 months or 6 months, I'll put a note for myself, you know, let's say the 1st of June, to go back and read this note. I don't know, it'd be kind of nice to just kind of, I guess, reflect on what I had in mind for myself at the start of the year. I'm not really into doing New Year's resolutions or setting myself, you know, super high goals for a full year, but I find it's nice to be able to reflect back over 3 to 6 months and go, oh yeah, there was a bit of growth there, you know, like what I wanted for myself at the start of January has come to fruition by June. I mean, that would be lovely. That would be the ultimate goal. But yeah, so again, this is sort of real personal stuff, not work-related things. So nothing to do with my photography business, more about, yeah, just my personal well-being and what I want for myself, what I want for my, I guess, personal daily life to look like. I guess. I don't know. It's hard to, I'm not really very articulate today. I promise I'm way more articulate in my head. It's just getting the words out of my mind into a sentence isn't always easy for me. But anyway, you get the gist. So again, just a little reminder, do more good things. I've just sort of made some little notes, I guess, of things that I was intentionally doing on the first couple of days of the new year. I did feel like after the 1st of January ticked over that I did have kind of like a calm clarity about me. I don't know what it was. It was almost like the potential and the possibilities of this new time just felt really comforting for me. I made a point of, on the first couple of days of the year, and I'm still obviously going to continue doing these things, you know, making time to spend time in my journal, going to the beach because I just love sitting at the beach. I love swimming in the ocean. So making a point of any day that it's 35 degrees or hotter, I am getting in my car and going to the beach, even if I cannot be bothered or I have, you know, jobs and things that need to be done around the house. I'm putting the beach ahead of all of that if I can. So the first couple of days, I just made a point of doing those things, doing more good things to kind of almost set a, I guess, intention for the start of the year. And I do like this little, again, little page that came out of my flip calendar that says think about this year today as well. So that was a little bit of a reminder to do that. So I won't do a full flip through. I'm just sort of showing you what it's looking like on my daily pages. Just some kind of, I guess, gratitude entries, things that I just want to remember that brought me joy. It's pretty much this whole journal. And also these reminders, don't forget to imagine the best case scenario too. For those who go straight to the worst case scenario, this is a very gentle reminder, a very good reminder. So yeah, I saw that pop up somewhere recently and I put that in there to remind myself. And obviously there'll be a lot of junk journaling in here as well. I swatched all of my washi tape that I picked up in Japan on my most recent trip and I videoed it. So it was my most recent video. If you go back to my channel, you'll see it there. In fact, I'll link it in the description as well if you want to check that out. But yeah, that was my little washi tape swatching session. And I am going to swatch my stickers that I picked up as well soon. And that's pretty much all I've got to show you in the Cousin. Obviously, I have a bit of work to do here. Not work, fun. I haven't done anything in the back of the journal yet. I don't know if I'm going to use the notes section at the back or not. We'll see. For now, that is it. Yeah, I just love how she's coming about. I think when the new year turned over, it was kind of, I think in a way, refreshing for me to start a new journal. As much as I loved my 2025 Cousin, it was really exciting. And I think because I'm changing a little bit about I'm changing a lot when it comes to my journal lineup for this year. So I'm very excited. Anyway, I'll show you now my weeks. So this is the weeks I picked up in Japan after much deliberation and thinking about how I was going to plan my working day, week, month. So in the end, because I couldn't decide or I wasn't blown away by other options that I saw when I was shopping. So I ended up picking up this week's. All I've done is popped a little sticker that I had picked up at Loft a couple of trips ago, not this trip. And I had it in a tin and I thought, you know what, it's time for her to have her place. So this also does kind of remind me of me and my dog. Although my dog isn't definitely not sitting at the table. To be fair, I don't sit at the table and eat my meals either. I am usually sitting on the couch. So she is there with me, but just not like that. Anyway, so on the inside cover, I have one of the calendar pages that you also saw in my Hobonichi Cousin that says, let's be peaceful. And I just thought this was perfect as a little reminder because peaceful days are what I strive for as much as possible. And then just a little sticker that came with one of my MD notebooks that needs to be glued down. And this sticker I also got from my pen pal and friend Laura. And I loved it because I feel like as part of creating peaceful days for myself, this is how I would like to spend a lot of my day, reading my book. I definitely don't read my book enough. A little reminder perhaps. And then I don't know if I'm even going to bother decorating. I love how this looks for now. Also, as you know, I usually decorate everything with a ton of colour. Whereas with my weeks, I don't know, I kind of pared it back a bit and went a little bit more muted, which I'm really loving. This like muted down neutral colours is so not normal for me, but I love it. I don't know if it's just because this is my planner, so it kind of, I don't know, it works for me. I've got a bit of Moomin washi tape, and this was a little tear out page from my little notebook that I picked up in MUJI, or what do you call it, notepad that I picked up in MUJI. And this was the first day I used it, and I tested out my new little date stamp that I picked up when I was in Japan, and I couldn't better throw this away. It's literally just a little list of things I wanted to do on the 1st of January as my kind of reminder, I guess. And yeah, I just couldn't throw it away. It was just too cute. Anyway, so it lives in there now. Whether I decorate this more or not is to be seen. So for my monthly pages, as I mentioned before, last year, I literally just used these for planning my work tasks. So this is all to do with my business. So then in my weekly pages, I decided to do something a little bit different. And I got the idea from my friend Zoe, as they share videos on their YouTube channel when they decorate their weekly pages, like for the week ahead. And I loved watching them, and I thought, as much as I really wanted the weeks more for my work planning day to day over the month, I also like the idea of actually making use of these weekly pages. And up until now, I always put tasks that I need to do, like personal tasks, not work related, into my calendar on my phone. It just got me thinking, like, I have this paper diary that I could then basically use it as my planner for my day-to-day things in my personal life, and then I get to be creative with it. Whereas in my phone, I'm just, typing in what I need to do, like, I need to make sure I go to the pharmacy today, or I need to go, I don't know, check my mailbox tomorrow. I mean, to be fair, I don't usually document those things in my phone, but, just little reminders, things that I definitely need to put somewhere because otherwise I will forget. So now I'm using the weekly pages for that. So at the start of the year, obviously, I've just put in here morning walk, beach swim, read 2 chapters, because this was, as I was mentioning before, where I wanted to kind of set an intention for the start of the year. Because it's summer right now and this is my favorite time of year. Like, I love when it's really hot and I want to make the most of that. I want to go to the beach and I want to spend time winding down and taking time to be in my book rather than like sitting on the couch on my phone all the time. Not that I do that, but like sitting on my couch on my phone, or do I get in my car and drive to the beach and read a couple of chapters? So yeah, I just found that writing on here really kind of almost like solidified the plan for that day. I don't know. I feel like this is working. Anyway, so I've also got other little things here like tidy and water garden. I mean, I don't need to remind myself to water my garden, but it felt really nice just putting it in here. Kind of like, okay, it's out of my head now. Every morning after my coffee, I come to my desk and I grab my weeks and I just look at what I've put in there. Obviously, this was, the day before or a couple of days before that, on Sunday, I'm going to tidy and water my garden. So it's nice, in the morning just to have a look what I have planned for myself. I mean, obviously that might change, and it does. I don't want to meticulously plan my day, from morning to night, but it is nice to put just little things that I would like to do on those days. And then I also will, probably stick some stickers in here. I've got a little page from my flip through calendar. I'm finding those little pages are so cute and I don't want to throw them, so they will make for good journal fodder, I guess. Also ephemera in a way. Tried my new date stamp for the first time and then I just wrote here how much I love it. And then some little content ideas, I guess. I don't really plan my YouTube videos or my Insta content really that too far ahead, but I figured if I have an idea, I can at least just jot it down, because I do sometimes have an idea and then I completely forget. And then it'll be like a month later and I think, I could have actually done that. So yeah, I figured I could write those little things on these note pages in the weeks. If I know it's going to be 35 or even 33 degrees, I'm going to make a point of getting to the beach on that day. So I am trying to, because we've only got another 3 months of summer, I really want to get to the beach as often as I can, even if it's just for a quick dip and to sit on the grass and read my book under the shade of a tree for an hour. So yeah, I'm making a point of putting the weather in. I mean, come winter, I won't care what the temperature is. But yeah, I really want to make the most of summer. So that's why I put that there. I was having a really productive week. It was actually the first week that I got stuck back into work, because I remember on the Monday I did get my laptop out and I was checking all my emails and I did a bit of editing. So yeah, I actually felt super productive. It was almost like, turning over that day or page where I've moved from holiday mode to work mode, and it really kicked in for me on that day. So that's why I just took a moment to write that I was feeling very productive. Actually, I was very productive. And also, obviously, when I'm working, not all the time, but often, I'll be thinking, oh my gosh, I just want to get into my journal. So I set little tasks for myself that then come with a reward. So this was just a reminder for me that if I work today, I can play tomorrow. And yeah, pretty much just the same thing. I had 2 dinners this week, which is unusual for me because I am very much a homebody and I do cap my social plans so that I'm not going out too frequently in a week. And I do that really just to keep I guess you call it a bit of order for my work, because it's very easy to just keep taking another day off and then another day off and then a week passes and you haven't done any work and the workload just keeps piling up. And you end up with a backlog, especially when you need to edit photos in a sort of set period of time. Anyway, so I did have 2 dinners this week, which is delightful. And yeah, just the same thing, writing down some little ideas for myself. And then next week's a new spread. What I'll probably do is I'm trying to sit down on a Sunday, if I can, just for half an hour and kind of decorate and pop in, you know, a few little things for the start of the week that I want to be doing. But again, if that falls off, that's fine. I'll try and do that anyway. So that's my weeks. And then we move on to my traveler's notebook. So I only picked this up in the middle of last year. I think it was around August. Until then, so a year and a half that I was in my Hobonichi Cousin, I had seen the traveler's notebook pop up a lot on Instagram and in YouTube videos that I had watched. And I loved the look of it, but I just didn't have any idea on how I would use it. So yeah, eventually I had a couple of ideas and then found this Love and Trip edition online. So the first insert, this is my memory keeping for super sentimental stuff. I'm not going to share that. This is my habit tracker. Again, I don't like the word habit, like the words habit tracker. It just sounds very technical. I don't know why. I just like to keep my journal related things creative. I don't know. It's really hard to explain. I'm sure if I like research this, there's probably like a biological or mental explanation for why I feel like that. But anyway, if you know, or if you feel the same, please let me know. I just like to keep my creative endeavors, I guess, very separate to anything that relates to, you know, my past office job where, you know, the word tracker was probably thrown around quite a bit. But yeah, anyway, whatever. For now, we'll call it a habit tracker because that's probably the only way that I can think of it. So I've decorated the inside cover with a very simple, you know, again, a page from my calendar that says, let's find out what caused it, which is pretty relatable when it comes to why I'm even keeping this tracker. And then some Minna Perhonen tape that I picked up when I was in Japan. So yeah, I started this in October and I did it really as a way to kind of remind myself how things shift and move really quite quickly. Like if I'm not feeling great, sometimes I think, oh, like, is this it? Am I always going to feel like this? And then 2 days later, I feel amazing. So I just figured if I keep a little tracker, a little record of, yeah, how I'm feeling just as a general whole each day. And then also I've got these little things that I want to be doing for my well-being and things that I don't want to be doing for my well-being. So yeah, it does change over time. So we've got October, November. I really only wanted to be doing this, I think, until December, but I had already drawn up January. So I thought I may as well keep going. And to be fair, when I sit down in the morning after my coffee at my desk, I grab this out and it's the first thing I do before I do anything else in any other journals. So yeah, it's been really interesting to see. I think now, like for February, I'm actually going to try and keep doing this for the rest of the year. I think it would be pretty cool to look back over 12 months. I mean, to be fair, I'm not like collecting any data or anything because when I look at this, I already know how I'm going to be feeling based on what I'm doing or not doing for myself. So, but it's just little things like documenting how my sleep was because sleep is so important for me. But then also what I'm doing, you know, no screen in the morning. I just do not look at my phone in the morning before or even after my coffee. If I have my coffee and then I go for a walk and then I, you know, basically get ready to start my work day and then I'll go and sit at my desk, I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not scrolling for any part of that. I don't want to be rolling over in bed and just grabbing my phone. And next thing I'm on a like Instagram rabbit hole of reels that just are not going to bring anything to my morning. No screen in the morning. I mean, I never pick up my phone in the morning now. So I feel like that can probably be taken off the list in February because it gets fulfilled. And then I've got like a morning walk or an afternoon walk, and often I do both. And that is, I guess I could just have here a walk, as long as I walk 30 to 45 minutes every day, like a brisk walk I'm talking. Yeah, I probably don't need to have both. But anyway, I did this because some mornings I wouldn't walk and then it would be in the afternoon. But yeah, I guess I can just have like walk in general. And then a few health related things like no sugar and low carbs. I'm pretty good with both of those because I have to be. And then I've got, you know, trying to be in bed by midnight. I'm a real night owl. And also no screen in bed. So like for this month, I've only looked at my screen once in bed. And I think in December I didn't look at it at all. So the no screen in the morning and in bed can definitely come off here for February because I just don't do them now. It's become such a habit, I guess, or it's like my normal not to do that in the morning and at bedtime. So yeah, that's my mood habit tracker. And then I've got my happy mail log. I am loving this. I've got 3 pen pals now in Melbourne, the US, and the Netherlands. So I really wanted to make a, I guess, note of when I receive mail and also when I send happy mail. So in my cousin, I might, on the day that I receive a letter, I might pop some of the stickers in and, if I do get sort of stationery in the letter, and also parts of the letter might go onto my daily pages in my Hobonichi Cousin. But I also wanted to keep like an ongoing, I guess, log. So this is what I call my happy mail log. Again, if you can think of a better word than log, I don't hate it, not as much as I hate the word tracker. But anyway, it's a whole other thing. So I've obviously decorated the cover with some mail-related stickers, stamps, and then inside, again, same thing, a stamp that I got in Finland, a Moomin stamp, and a little stamp from Nina Aoki's sticker sheets. Sorry, a little sticker, but it is shaped like a stamp. And then I have just, recorded letters that I've received and stuck down a little bit of stationery if it's been included. I will blur some of this that I don't really want to share. On this day when I was in Finland, I actually sent a heap of postcards to friends all over the world. So yeah, I actually made like a little record of that. I think that's really cute just to remember because it was really nice buying the postcards, selecting the postcards for people and then sitting down and spending time at a cafe, writing them out and then posting them. So that's like a really lovely memory for me. And then letters from Zoe to me and then from me to Zoe. So yeah, I write a little bit in there, about what I enjoyed about receiving the letter or sending it, maybe what I've included, and then I take a photo of the stationery. So yeah, that's that. And obviously I do have 3 other little entries that I need to put in here. So I've put a note here because I found at the start I had done a couple of pages. Like the next letter I received from someone, I just put that aside and I thought if I don't keep a little running list, I'm going to forget. So I'll probably do those in the next few days. So that's my happy mail log, which I love. And then the last insert I've got in here is my travel journal. Oh, I do also have a sticker release paper insert that I picked up in Japan that I am going to put in here as well, and also a zipper case. I cannot wait to put this in. But I might do that in a stationery haul type video where I open some products and items that I bought in Japan. So they will also go in here somewhere. So my travel insert, I really wanted this pink page insert. So I picked this up when I was in Japan and I don't really want to show this because I've only just I can show you a little bit actually. I'll do a flip through obviously when I have decorated this more. It will be chock-a-block full with ephemera because I have a ton of ephemera from Japan. Anyway, that's what it's looking like so far. But yeah, I've got so much to stick in here. Yeah, anyway, you get the gist. So that's going to be my travel insert. My travel insert for all the ephemera that I collected when I was in Japan. All of my travel memories are in my 2025 Hobonichi Cousin because I went there in December. That is my traveler's notebook. I really love that I got this in the end because I feel like having my travel junk ephemera all in one place appeals more to me than having it all in my Hobonichi Cousin because last year I did stick so much ephemera in my cousin that she got so chunky, which I loved, but I do want to kind of, I guess, spread it out a little bit and not have it all in the one book. So I do love that I've got this for my travels. I mean, there'll still be a lot of ephemera in my cousin, but just not as much as last year, maybe, because I've got this. And I imagine this will be very chunky by the time I finish sticking it all in. And then I love that I've got my Happy Mail log. I definitely feel like looking through it all here in the one place is more enjoyable than if it was spread out in my cousin, because obviously it would be kind of lost, I guess, in amongst all the other pages. Whereas this way I get to, just basically have this whole insert full of memories of Happy Mail I've sent and received. And then obviously my like mood tracker kind of thing. I hate saying that word, tracker. Sorry, not mood, habit list. That definitely can't live inside my Hobonichi Cousin because it doesn't entail, or it's not part of my joy memories. I guess it does lead to joy if I'm doing what I need to do for my well-being. But yeah, it's more of a tracker thing, and I just don't really want that in my cousin at all. And then obviously my little wholesome, heartfelt memories in that insert. So I really love my notebook, my traveler's notebook. I love it a lot. I need to adjust that a little bit. But yeah, so I will also eventually stick in my sticker release paper insert and my little zipper case thingo. So the last notebook in my 2026 journal lineup is this very simple notebook that I picked up from Itoya, and it's just a space for me to write down any thoughts. I don't sit down every morning and just write down thoughts. I know people do the whole daily pages kind of thing, which I think is fantastic, and I probably would like to try and do that, but I really only come into this book when I've got a lot of thoughts rolling around in my head and it's just kind of constant and it's ruminating almost. So what I do now is I just open this notebook and just write them all out. I don't go back and read it. I'm pretty sure if I showed you, you probably couldn't read my handwriting because it's very scrawly. It's just literally me getting those words and those thoughts out of my head onto paper. So what I used to do was I had a really ugly A4 spiral notebook, and I used to only sit at the dining table because I just felt like if I sat at my desk where I do all my journaling, and I'm in my joy journal and I'm literally at this space to create and be artistic and frivolous, and it's full of whimsy and all of that sort of fun stuff. I just felt like if I sat down here and wrote down thoughts and hard moments or challenges that are in my head, that it would almost like tarnish my little joyful spot where I normally do all my journaling. But then, I don't know, something kind of ticked over it's the last couple of months, like at the end of 2025, where I realized those difficult times or the thoughts that come with challenging moments are a part of life. I feel like in the past, I've always tried to distinguish that, as in I don't want to acknowledge it, because I think if I acknowledge it, then it might become my permanent state. But I came to this realization that I cannot feel happy and joyful and be free from challenges and difficult moments every single day of my life. Like, that's just not life. And I think I've slowly accepted that recently, which, I've taken my time getting there. Anyway, so now what I do is, rather than have the ugly spiral A4 notebook with the boring yellow cover that it comes with, I have started using this little notebook, and I even decorated the cover. I didn't go overboard and decorate it with anything super colourful, but I thought, you know what, it deserves to have just something on there that, I guess in a way then when I'm picking it up, it's not, I don't mind looking at it. And yeah, so the little, again, from my little calendar, let's look at things upside down. Again, just a reminder, it's okay to look at things differently, and it's okay to analyze and accept the challenges in life without thinking that, I'm accepting them as a permanent state, if that makes sense. Anyway, not to get too deep and philosophical, but yeah, so this little notebook is purely for me to, empty my mind, I guess. Following on from my Happy Mail log, I thought I would share this new kind of idea that I thought of before I went to Japan. I wanted to pick up this binder. I had seen these online somewhere, maybe on Instagram, and I wanted to pick up this binder so that I could basically house envelopes that won't fit into my Happy Mail insert, because obviously the insert width is not wide enough to house envelopes. And some of the envelopes are decorated so beautifully that I don't want to throw them out. So, and if I stuck them into my Hobonichi Cousin, then that's just going to get super chunky. So I thought this was kind of a nice way to just have them all in one place. Do I need to cover any? I think I've covered up the addresses. So for instance, this is a card that Laura sent me, and this is just so adorable. There's no way I could throw this out, obviously. So I've kept it because it's so creative. How adorable is that? So yeah, and again, because it's quite thick, there's it's made from cardstock. If I stuck that into my Hobonichi Cousin, it would just get so chunky. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't want to hole punch this because it's so cute, but I'm going to get some little, almost like these little, I forget what these are called. Actually, when I saw this, it took me back to my primary school days. I remember having these on my arch lever files, on the holes so that the paper wouldn't tear in your files. So yeah, I had a nice little moment of reminiscing about them. I haven't seen these, I think, since school days. So yeah, I want to maybe get some kind of little attachment, and I'm sure probably MUJI would have them, or Daiso. A little plastic, I guess it could be cardboard attachment here that I stick onto this, and then I punch that. So this then, so basically that would be its own little flip over entry. I don't know if I'm explaining that properly. But anyway, so in here I've got postcards that I've received from my pen pals and my friends, and then envelope from Zoe, another envelope from, the envelope from Laura that card came in. And then what I'm doing is I'm popping in or leaving in any little letters that they've written in the envelope, which I got that idea from Zoe. I might stick some of little notes and stuff into my Hobonichi Cousin, but otherwise actual letters will just live inside these envelopes. How cool is that? But yeah, anyway, you get the idea. And obviously postcards, because I did initially stick these into my Happy Mail log, but they're just only a tad smaller than the insert pages. And then I found if I'm going to have too many of these cards flapping in there, it'd get too thick too quickly. So, and I also did think it was nice because then I will obviously hole punch these, that I can flip through them and look at them in here. So that's my envelope, postcard, card binder. I really love it. I obviously need to punch those other cards and pop them in properly, but And then the last thing I want to show you, which isn't really part of journaling, but I'll show you anyway. I did talk about this in my Japan stationery haul video, which was, I think it was my last video. No, it was a couple before, where I picked up these little passport size traveler's notebooks, and I have ideas for these, different ideas for all three. And then I picked up this little refill binder so I can stick them in there. I haven't opened these, obviously. And then I've also got these little MD notebooks. So one is lined and one is blank. And I picked up one little cover for the lined one. So yeah, I might open these in another kind of a stationery haul related video, just to show what the insides look like. But yeah, I do have ideas for basically all 5 of these notebooks. Anyway, we'll see. Nothing urgent. Doesn't matter if I don't start on them immediately. Just something that I want to do for the new year, for 2026, to be a little bit more creative with my days. So that is pretty much wrapping up now my 2026 lineup. I am really excited about all of the things I plan on doing in my journals this year. As I said, this has been such a step up, I guess, or a big move from how I have journaled last year and the year before. So last year was just my Hobonichi Cousin, and also my weeks, which I barely used. I really only made use of it in the last, the second half of the year, and only the monthly pages. So I feel like this year I'm definitely making more use of the weeks pages. And then in 2024, it was just my Hobonichi Cousin, and I didn't use as much of this, the pages, as I did in 2025. So that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with me while I talked about my journal lineup for 2026. I'm so excited. I also have in mind a kind of series. Again, don't love the word series. I'm all about the words that I plan on kicking off on Instagram in a few days. So if you are not following me on Instagram yet and you want to get involved, it's going to be very much a community-based idea, not series. And it's all about spending more time in our journals. It's something that I've thought of for myself that I really, really want to do. And I guess as much as I say I don't have New Year's resolutions, I do feel like turning over into a new year has kind of inspired me to be more intentional with my journals, and I really want to just spend more time in them. But I also want to spend it like more time on a more frequent basis. Head over to my Instagram if you're interested and keep an eye out. That will be posted in the next couple of days anyway, I think, or like early next week. I will share more on that later, but for now I just once again want to say thank you for stopping by, and thanks for joining me and giving me the space to talk about my 2026 journals. I'm so excited. What are you journaling in for this year? Also, I do want to mention, I've had this discussion with a couple of friends recently about our expectations, I guess, that we put on ourselves when it comes to our journals. And I know I was like this last year and even in 2024. I mean, 2024 was the first year that I got my Hobonichi Cousin and sort of got really stuck into journaling again. So I didn't really think too hard about what I was doing. And then in 2025, I just knew I wanted to still be in my Hobonichi Cousin. But this year, or toward the end of last year, I should say, I really started to have a think about how else I could spend more time analog archiving. I want to be on my phone less. I mean, I feel like my phone definitely fulfills the purpose. Absolutely, I couldn't live without it. And it's great for many things. But, daily planning, my work stuff, and definitely my creative endeavors, they need to be on paper. I think I've put a lot of thought into how I want to spend more time analog archiving, and that in turn has led me to allow myself to not just be in the one journal, because I think in the past I kind of felt like I didn't want to spread myself too thinly and then not be able to keep up with, managing 2 or 3 journals. So along with that, if I was to drop off out of any of these journals in 2026, that's totally fine. I mean, I don't see it happening because the Traveler's Notebook is an ongoing thing. Like, this isn't anything that I need to be in daily, provided I'm always sending and receiving mail. I'm always going to be using that Happy Mail insert, and the habit documenting, not tracking. I plan on doing that for the whole year, hopefully, unless I get bored with it and I don't need to do it anymore, then that's fine. But yeah, I feel like the Traveler's Notebook is around for a while. This is definitely not going anywhere. I feel like I will be in the Hobonichi Cousin for many, many years to come, hopefully. And the weeks definitely is fulfilling a purpose for me now on a daily basis. So I can't see this lineup changing, but if it were to change, that's okay. We don't need to put so much pressure on ourselves to pick a way that we would like to journal and then stick with it for 12 months. Like, there is no reason why I couldn't change my mind on how I want to use the Cousin next month. Just a gentle reminder to myself, but also to you, that you can just do whatever you want, whenever you want when it comes to your journal. You want to stick with one. If you want to have 5 journals, then do that. That's okay. And it can change. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of me just saying that you just do whatever you want to do with your journal. Thank you again for stopping by and staying around if you're still here for this long video. I feel like I'm saying that a lot lately. And say hello in the comments and let me know, what are you journaling in? How are you using your journal? And I hope to see you on Instagram for our little less scrolling, more in our journal project. More on that later. Thanks again. I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye.